I think we're all very aware that a financial crisis can create all kinds of havoc in the economy.
Yeah.
And we've seen how badly battered the American economy has been as a result of 2008 and the events since then. So I don't think I think whereas, 10 years ago it might have been a little more hypothetical, today, it doesn't take long to think about problems in the United States and how they have been made so much worse by the financial crisis.
Exactly. I mean, I think one of the things that I can even notice is that, 9 out of 10 people have seen Jurassic Park and developed an understanding of the butterfly effect through that. And now people understand, with all this talk swirling around Europe and the contagion that can come out of there, that the butterfly effect can really translate into real results in our banking sector too, or financial sector.
Yeah. And even if for people who don't want to understand all of the nuances of how finance works, and I can appreciate why you may not want to do that, I think it is possible to demand that the government involve itself in making the basic stuff we need, which is like a place to put our deposits and a place that makes loans, make that simple and operating in the public interest.
Exactly.
Because we have to support that. There's a safety net under those activities, and banks get helped in a crisis. And since they get helped in a crisis, the quid pro quo of that is they shouldn't be engaged in all of the hocus pocus that makes a crisis more likely.
Exactly. Those are, and I really hope that the recommendations as you lay them out in your excellent paper, No More Swimming Naked, I hope that this becomes a part of the public discourse, and I hope that it becomes a major issue in the next election.
Well, thanks very much. Your interest in these kinds of things makes it all the more possible, because we need to get the word out there that people need to pay attention to this, because it's way too big to have the banks and their allies deciding policies on this stuff.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Ellen. It was nice talking to you.
Okay.
Cease to resist, I'm giving my goodbye. Drive my car into the ocean. You think I'm dead, but I sail away on a wave of mutilation. Wave of mutilation, wave of mutilation, And I've kissed mermaids, I rode the El Nino. I've walked the sand with the crustaceans. Could find my way to Mariana on a wave of mutilation, wave of mutilation, wave of mutilation, to on a wave of mutilation, a wave of mutilation, wave of mutilation,
That was Wave of Mutilation by Frank Black. How you doing, Mike?
I'm pretty good.
Cool. Well, I really felt honored to talk to Ellen Russell on that subject.
Yeah, you can tell that she's a person with an integrity, and usually when you think of economists, they're just...
Ellen, thanks for joining us on. Sorry, go
You know,
ahead.
usually they're just yelling at you on some Fox show, telling you to buy a certain stock or something. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's great to hear her. It's
exactly.
refreshing.
Yeah.
She had some really good points too, and I think that the two of you were able to sum up her article pretty well, which I posted on the opposition r.adio page.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Okay. Well, I'm going to publicly eat some words that I promised I would eat. I didn't think the NDP could win their election in Kitchener-Waterloo.
I had an inside edge on you, man. I should have let you know that too. I take part in the local riding association here in Simcoe North, and that's one thing that I'm actually quite happy to find is that the people that are involved here seem to be quite real about what they're saying. I'm glad to know that when they say there's a really good chance we're going to win, the numbers that are coming in are good. That their word is good too. So, you know, I got to give some credit to Doris Middleton for giving me information and insight into what was going on in Kitchener-Waterloo. But and also, you know, I think that more importantly, I mean, generally most of my policies would agree with the NDP. I belong to the NDP, but all in all, I think that the kudos has to go out to the voters of Kitchener-Waterloo for
Absolutely.
for not giving McGuinty a majority government.
I like in our broken system, one of the best banded fixes we have is minority government. You know what I mean?
It would have just been the worst thing that could happen. I mean, at least now we know that McGuinty is another seasoned politician. This guy knows what he's doing. He knows how to function and work in the political world. And even with one seat shy of a majority, at least he's forced on different issues to work with either progressive conservatives or the NDP and not just rammed through something in a manner similar, not the same, but similar to Stephen Harper. So I was just really glad to see that the voters in Kitchener-Waterloo could actually do that and swing from supporting progressive conservative and go right over to supporting an NDP candidate.
Yeah. So, you know, here's the thing, Mike. The other benefit in this situation is the fact that with an NDP win as opposed to a Liberal win, okay, the Conservatives can't ditch Tim Hudak, who is essentially an anchor for their party.
Yeah,
You know
that guy's just
he's just a
pulling them down.
walking liability. There's something unlikable about that guy that comes across, you know. People don't like him.
Do you want to give me a little bit more insight on that? Why you say that you don't think PCs can't get rid of?
Well,
Tim
in a minority
Hudak now?
government, there could be an election at any moment, right? You don't want to have an election in the middle of a leadership race.
Right,
So they're stuck with that massive liability right now. Now,
I never thought of it that way. That's a very
yeah,
insightful way of looking at it.
because there's a lot of people in the Conservative Party that want to ditch Tim Hudak and get a real leader. You know what I mean? Because that guy had to do all kinds of asshole gymnastics in order to lose that election to Dalton McGuinty, who's a deeply unpopular premier after 2 majority terms. You know what I mean? He really had to work hard to lose that election.
Yeah, it
You know what I
goes
mean?
to show that that anybody center and right of center, they had a choice to make between Tim Hudak and Dalton McGuinty, and even if they were fucking cursing Dalton McGuinty, a lot of them still picked him.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because Tim Hudak proved himself to be a worse alternative. Unfortunately, the NDP wasn't ready. I don't know if we can agree on that, but Andrea Horvath did not run on a costed-out platform. It's just not good. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, Tim Hudak's not an option. He's unlikable, and he ran a terrible campaign, and his politics of division just somehow didn't stick. in Ontario. Andrea Horwath, not ready. Ontario still smarting from the Bob Rae government, which didn't stick to his principles. Although I love Bob Rae, you know what I mean? It's the Ontario perception. So McGuinty got a minority government. Thankfully, it was a minority government. Hey, look, man, Andrea Horwath, as much as I just said something that's not entirely positive about her, she got us a tax on the rich. That's an incredible accomplishment.
That's right. I think, I mean, she's growing as a politician, and I'm really hoping to see a progression with the Ontario NDP, because they do know that an election can come at any time. And next time around, she has to make herself a real alternative.
Absolutely. You know, and here's the thing now. You know, this is something that always shocks me, that opposition parties don't do it, and I know why they don't do it, but I just still think they should. When a government puts together a budget and offers it up for approval, how come the opposition doesn't put together an alternative budget? As in saying to the, you know, that's not going to really become the budget, they're not the government, but it gives the electorate something to look at and say, well, you know what, if we had Andrea Horwath as premier, this is what we'd get as a budget. Do you know what I mean?
It makes things, you know, kind of clears the clouds away, and it doesn't make you have more. The less questions a person has, you know, if you can expect something from a
The difference is this, Mike. The difference is this: if you, as an opposition leader, were to do that, what you're doing all of a sudden is running on your ideas instead of against their record. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
In difficult times like this, people, and we can see it from the fact that Stephen Harper got a majority, people gravitate towards stability, the known quantity, the devil you know. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So in turbulent times, people don't want something that's unpredictable. They want to know, okay, what would Andrea Horwath do? Well, we don't know, because she didn't have a costed out platform. You know what I mean? I really think, and you know, you're involved with the NDP, and I mean, this would be an idea that if I was currently active with the NDP, I would be pushing for this so hard. Alternative budget. This is, you know how the Reform Party made itself? By doing exactly that. Exactly.
Well, I might get a chance to talk to Andrea Horwath here sometime later in September. So if I do,
get her on the show.
I will. I would love to get her on the show. That would be great. But I mean, I know I'm going to be attending an event that she's going to be at, and you know, usually a politician will make time for people, and if I get a chance to talk to her, I'll make that suggestion for sure, because I think that's a good idea as well.
Yeah. People, you know, especially in these turbulent and difficult times, people have to know what they're going to get. You have to be a known quantity. You can't just throw a whole bunch of sentiments into the ring and expect to run on that. People have to understand what they're going to get with Andrea Horwath as a premier. And I think she's poised right now to have massive gains in the next election.
She has everything else lined up right now. Her popularity is up. She's the most popular party leader in Ontario. Mm-hmm. And she just came off a by-election win, which I guess the one fair thing to say too would be, we've learned that in certain circumstances, as the voters of Kitchener-Waterloo have shown, and I mean, Tim Hudak came out and he even made statements earlier that that the former PC Elizabeth Whitmore, who left to go to the Workplace Safety Insurance Board, who had been a MPP there for 22 years, you know, he I think they knew too. When you hear Tim Hudak say, "Well, this is more of an Elizabeth Whitmore riding and not a PC riding," still, you know, we have to see that people are willing to make choices. In other words, it wasn't just a two-horse race. There was really a third choice here. The people of Kitchener-Waterloo decided that they are willing to support an NDP MPP, and that's Catherine Fife, who won the election there.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Catherine.
And apparently, you know, she had been building a name and a reputation for herself in the area. She was quite popular. In previous elections, she hadn't done quite as well. But nonetheless, I just still think that this win does give some credibility to the NDP, and that Andrea Horwath now has to take that and use it to her advantage with all the positives that she has going with her.